And to discuss this Sunday's presidential runoff in Peru, we now welcome Danny Shaw, Professor of Latin American Studies and Senior Research Fellow at the Council on Hemispheric Affairs. Danny, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thanks, Katrina.
Danny, the exit polls are giving Keiko Fujimori a slight lead over Pedro Castillo. We do, of course, have to wait for the full official results later tonight, but what would a win for Fujimori spell for Peru?
Well, all Peruvians are on the edge of their seats. All Bolivarians and really all of South America and the world are on the edge of their seats. A defeat of Fujimorismo would be huge, not just for Peru, but for the continent. We saw what happened just a month ago in Ecuador. That's a loss that's still being felt with the victory of Lasso there. So a victory for Pedro Castillo would be the victory of the Peruvian people, of the everyday people, the farmers, the campesinos, the workers, the unions, the feminists. So it's a very exciting moment, but also a very stressful moment. We can't discount the possibility that the right wing will do everything through a dirty war, whether that's outright repression or coercion and manipulation through the media to try to steal these results. So that's why Pedro Castillo, Peru Libre's candidate, has called for his supporters to come into the streets to guard against fraud, to guard against corruption, to guard against the theft of this election. And he right now is marching with his supporters across the country in a militant display of a defense of these results, which we should know in a few hours.
Danny, Pedro Castillo seemed to come out of nowhere. He's very different from Keiko, she herself is well known on Peru's political scene. But how can we explain Castillo's sudden rise and his popularity to become a strong presidential contender?
Because Castillo is a teacher, as a union leader, as a national strike leader a few years back, speaks to Peruvians' everyday needs. The people are tired of years of state terrorism in the anarchy of the capitalist market. The people want nationalization. They want this incredible wealth. The biodiversity of Peru is almost unparalleled across the world. And they want this wealth to reside, to stay in Peru. It's the most basic demand, and it's the demand of the 30 million people of Peru. We still see exit polls coming in as we speak in Cusco, in the indigenous lands, the land of the Incas. Castillo has won big. So it's clear that he is the candidate of the interior, but certainly in Lima, Fujimori has a ton of bureaucracy and money in this anti-socialist, anti-Bolivarian right-wing media. They've resorted to a type of red baiting and witch hunting. Same thing they did in Ecuador, where they try to say that if Castillo and Peru Libre win, that Peru will be the next Venezuela. What do they mean by that? Do they mean the most besieged, attacked country by imperialism on the planet, as Venezuela and Cuba and Nicaragua are? Then they would be accurate. But of course, they're resorting to this dirty war, trying to scare Peruvians away from voting for Castillo. So that's what's playing out right now as the votes are being tallied.
Danny, seeing that the results, according to the exit polls, seem to be so close, and given the whole context in Peru, which has seen political instability, mass demonstrations, etc., over the past few years, if the election result is as close as it's looking like it could be, can we expect maybe major mobilizations on the streets? Can we expect a big reaction in a country that is so polarized?
Yeah, I think certainly we will. The polarization runs deep from the times of colonialism and the caste systems, the class systems that were created, the horrific white supremacy and racism against the indigenous population, which continues to play out. And that's what Fujimori father, who's in jail right now, and Fujimori daughter, who's trying to take these elections. And one of the first things she'll do is to free her father, who is a state criminal, a war criminal responsible for so much state repression and bloodshed across Peru. So this is the battle of ideas. This is about which way forward for Peru, for all of the region and South America. South America, one of the richest places on the planet, incredible mining resources and oil and gas reserves. We've seen the decision that the Bolivian people have taken, the Argentinian people, the Chilean people, and now the Peruvian people can further push this process to the left in an anti-imperialist direction, an integrationist Bolivarian direction. A victory for Pedro Castillo is going to be a victory for the people of Venezuela, of Cuba, of Nicaragua, who are very cruelly and illegally and unilaterally blockaded by the U.S. empire. So if Peru Libre can win, this is going to represent a real gain for people's media, people's democracy, people's economics. It'll represent, for the first time in modern Peruvian history, post-colonial Peruvian history, new Peru, a different Peru, to quote the candidate, the teacher, Pedro Castillo. We're fighting for a country with in such a rich country, we're fighting for no impoverished people. So that's the goal. That's the world view. So certainly, again, we're on the edge of our seat, seeing what will play out in the next few hours and the next few days.
Danny Shaw, Professor of Latin American Studies and Senior Research Fellow at the Council on Hemispheric Affairs. Thank you so much for joining us again today and for offering your valuable insight into these crucial elections, not just for Peru, but as you say, for the whole region. Thank you.
Thanks, Katrina.